we have some moms who are gonna come up and share some things with you. They don't know the agenda or anything, but they're gonna come up. They have things to share, and just give them your attention. Get ready. There's note sheets at the tables, and I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Molly. Are you ready? Let me finish doing my food. If you need a note sheet, let me know. I have a few.
I was going to redo mine today. Thank you, ma'am.
We pack up a Heather when you're done.
Yes. You're welcome.
I made notes. I'm a teacher. I have your phone. You need to drag that where you need it. Do that too. No, Jerry. Or you just try to do that too. Maybe. Let me see what I find. What am I?
So my name is Molly Pittman, for those of you that don't know me, and I'm a mom of 4. I have 2 in elementary school and 2 still at home with me. I'll have one at home with me next year. So I'm a busy lady, and I also own my own business. I teach piano lessons. I own my own piano studio. So I work 20 hours a week, Monday through Fridays till 7:30. So we have a crazy schedule. So I'm very busy. So I'm always looking for ways to make things easier, things to make life more stress-free. But before I get into what I wanted to share today, Jerry's passing out a little color sheet that has to do with what I'm going to share. I first just wanted to say, for all the young moms, that what you're doing is enough. There's nothing else that you need to do. I know sometimes we can I know I got overwhelmed as a young mom. I know I'm older now, but of all the tips and tricks, and here's this new book you need to read, or if you eat this diet, you'll lose this much weight and then you'll be there, or if you track your food, there's always something new going on. And so I wish somebody had told me when I was younger that what you're doing is enough. There's nothing else that you have to do. I don't know who needs to hear that, but I just felt led to say that today. So just take a breath, and if you enjoy what you hear today, take it, and if it's not for you, just leave it for somebody else. So with that said, I want to get into something called Dwell Differently. I know Stephanie does it, but this popped up, and it's perfect for us moms who at the end of the day, the last thing you want to do is go sit and read your Bible for an hour. I know that's the Sunday school answer. That's what we're supposed to do. If you've grown up in church, you've heard the terms quiet time. And how many youth pastors and pastors have said, you need to get up before your kids and have this quiet time. And I'm like, no, that's not for me. So if you struggle to have a quiet time or to find time to read your Bible, then this might be something that you enjoy. It's a subscription service, because I know y'all need one more subscription service in your life, right? But it's $10 a month. And what it is it comes in this cute little yellow packet, and you'll get a devotional card, and inside the packet will be a key ring, and you'll get a keychain that you can put on a key ring. And then you'll also get 4 temporary tattoos. But what makes this so different and cool, and you'll see on your color page, is that, the memory verse is just the first letter of every word. And so it just is one memory verse a month, and you focus on that verse the entire month. And so I went ahead and wrote out what this particular verse is, just so when you get home with this color sheet and look at it, you're not like, what in the world are all those letters? But this was last month. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. Colossians 1:17. So this would have been last month what the temporary tattoo was. I didn't copy this month's because it's really long and has a lot of letters on it. But not only do you get the keychain and the little memory card and the temporary tattoos, but you get access to a digital package that includes these color sheets and lock screens for your phone.
Yeah.
She also will email you devotionals throughout the week. You can take those or leave those. I think she has a podcast, but it was created by 2 different moms who she used to write the verses on her hand with pen, and she was like, this is getting ridiculous. So somebody said, why don't you just use the first letters of the words? And so that's kind of how it was created. But I did want to go ahead and read the back of this particular devotional card so you kind of get an idea of what is included. The verse that's on this devotional card says, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many." Mark 10:45. Jesus, God's own Son, the eternal creator and upholder of all things, the forever King, to whom we all will one day bow and confess his complete reign over everything, that Jesus came to earth, to all that was rightfully his, but not as one would expect. He came not in power or pomp, not to be served, but humbly serving and saving those who should have served him, but willfully had not. This is the greatness of our Lord Jesus. Though he was above all, he became the least. Though he deserved only worship, he willingly served us all. And though he was king of all, he paid the ransom price for his rebellious subjects with his own priceless life. In doing so, he won not just the souls of his servants, but our hearts as well. And so these little cards, I usually just I bought these little stands, and I kind of keep them in my bathroom, and you can look at them each week. So hopefully that is something that, if that interests you, check it out. It's dwelldifferently.com. And then I did not tell Jerry about this, but I want to plug a product as well that I discovered. I don't know if any of you have heard of Ritual vitamins, but these are amazing. They sell them at Target, but it's much easier to just buy them online through the Ritual website. They're the same price, and they're usually sold out at Target, but these are the only vitamins I found that I can take and not get sick if you take them on an empty stomach. And they're the only ones I've ever taken that you can feel an energy difference when you take them, and they smell like mint. They put like a little tab in there, so I know some of you have heard of these, but they have a new product called Stress Relief. And there's stress relief products everywhere. Like every time I go into Target, there's like some new product that promises that your life will be stress-free if you take this. So I saw this, I'm like, well, I like Ritual, so I'll give this a try. These are a little pricey. So the vitamins are about, I believe, $35 a month. These are $54 a month, but you take one a month, and it has 3 little tablets combined into this gel cap. They are slow release, and so it lasts all day. What it's supposed to do is to reduce your cortisol levels throughout the day. So it's not like an instant, I just drink a glass of wine kind of relax, but it's like an overall, that grit that we feel at the end of the day is just a little bit softer. And it's noticeable difference with me that I felt it important to present it here to you guys today. It's got ashwagandha in it, L-theanine in it. I know all these buzzwords, right? And then, there's something else that starts with an S, but they are very transparent with their products. You can go onto their website, ritual.com, and see exactly what's in it. But because it's slow release, you take it in the morning and it lasts all day. And it's made a difference enough in my life that if you need something to kind of help and you don't want to go to the doctor and get on chemicals, I feel like this might be a good thing to try that works. So that's what I've got for y'all.
Next up, Emily. Thank you, Molly. That was super helpful. Sorry, I am the worst host. Molly, thank you. Truly though, I think that that's awesome. And having I don't know, where's all like the moms who are like, we're making the more natural choices, like trying to change the things, and so I am in that agreement with that is something I need to look into. I much prefer that before jumping to pharmaceuticals if I can. So,
Hi.
is this sufficient or do you need something?
No, this is fabulous.
Okay. You want it more like
Nope. I'm ready. Okay. I promise to try to keep it to 5. Interpretive dance is here. Usha. No, I'm just kidding. There isn't any interpretive dance. Okay. I'm going to talk about the calming corner. Most of you probably have no idea what that is. You're shaking your head. I know you know. I will explain it in just a minute. So, background. I have 2 little girls, a 7-year-old Kinsey, a 4-year-old Beckett. I'm in denial that they're that old. Kinsey is my so sweet special child that was a challenging first mom kid. She feels her feelings quite deeply, and those of you that know Kinsey would have no idea that that's a thing, because on the surface she is an angel. Woo! Underneath we feel things, okay? If it's a good day, it's the best day ever. If you fall and skin your knee, she is next to you crying, and if she is mad, oh, she mad, okay? So, as a first-time parent, discipline was challenging. We tried spanking. Don't even make me feel bad. I felt bad enough. We tried timeout. We tried gentle parenting, and everything almost like spiraled her more. Some of you are shaking your head like, I got one of those. This was a lifesaver. So the calming corner is a very ugly thing in my home, but it has purpose, so it stays. It is a corner in my home that has pillows, blankets. At one point we had a crib mattress. I told you it's not pretty. Just all the soft things, weighted blankets, you name it, it's there. We have these two things to make me feel better about it being ugly. It was in Target, dollar spot, about 2 years ago. And this box that's usually way more full, but I slimmed it down today. So the purpose of the calming corner is, if you think about like why we discipline our kids, it's not because of the feelings that they have, it's because of the way that they have reacted to said feelings. So we found that if I spanked Kinsey, she spiraled even more. If I isolated Kinsey, I felt better, because I got the break and I got to breathe and I didn't want to scream anymore, but I isolated her and therefore made her feel like maybe her feelings are bad, or maybe her feelings are something to be scared of, which as parents is not what we're trying to drive home. So we created the calming corner, which is a space in an open space. This is not behind a closed door. This is not in a bedroom. This is why I look at it and I'm like, you're real ugly in the middle of my living room. But I tell myself it serves a purpose, it serves a purpose. So number one, it needs to be in an open space if this is something that you are going to do in your own home. And number two, it needs to be something soft, something that if they need to punch, they can punch. If they need to scream into a pillow, they can scream into a pillow. You don't have to have a lot of stuff like we have, because we've been doing it for 2 years, but something soft, because it's okay to punch a pillow. It's not okay to punch a human, you know? Like, we don't really want to do that. So in an open space, with soft things, and big enough because you're gonna get into the calming corner with your child. Because when they're feeling those emotions, we're gonna be there with them. I often tell my kids, like, your big feelings don't scare me. I still love you. We're telling them that it's okay to feel these feelings. It's okay to be mad. It's not okay to be mean. You know what I mean? So we're gonna be in the calming corner with them, even if that means dinner's burning, even if you are like dying on the inside, like, I don't want to be touched. You're in the calming corner. You punch a pillow. I've put myself into the calming corner. And like my legs were out of it, and my husband was like, nobody touch mommy, she's in the calming corner. And my kids were like, ooh, okay, going this way. So those are the big points. Also, something to do with emotions, because we're gonna label our emotions, but in the middle of a meltdown, we probably don't have the ability to label our emotions, so pointing to it is gonna be much easier. We also have this, which is incredible. It has a mirror, and then it also has a bunch of different emotions. You can, like Kinsey at 5 and 6 and 7 years old,
When you're done, can you walk us through what that was?
Absolutely. I know, I'm sorry, Jerry. It's not gonna be 5 minutes. So Kinsey at 5 and 6 and 7 years old, who has a huge vocabulary, will often hold this up to me, and that's her communicating, this is how I'm feeling. If they're super teeny tiny, the mirror is great because they can like look at their emotion and you can match it. We even use this, it doesn't have to be like a big feelings moment. We use this because emotions are everywhere all the time. This is off Amazon. We have books. Sometimes I kaploom. Could have written this myself. We have puppets. We have fidget spinners. We have stressy squeezy balls. Some are cool, some are free. We have, thanks Chick-fil-A, we have books about feelings. Basically, this is going to be the things that they're going to do in the calming corner as they're calming themselves down. That is Maybe you're gonna punch something and scream, and that's fine, but then you're gonna eventually get to this, and that's cool too, because how we calm ourselves down is different from moment to moment and kid to kid. But the huge point of it is you don't get to leave the calming corner until you've talked it through. That's the important part of being with the kid, and that's the important part of this being a safe space, because you were with them, you helped them feel their feelings, but if you don't talk about it, you're not equipping them with, this is what we could do better next time. Or this is a moment that I felt this way and this is how I handled it. Or I'm so proud of you for not punching your sister and going to the calming corner instead. Whatever it is, you don't walk out of the calming corner until you both have discussed that moment. Even if it spirals them again, give them a pillow, they can scream and punch and whatever, but you talk about it before you leave the calming corner. Okay, example. Now keep in mind we've been doing this, yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So one of mine is, well, our feral.
Same.
So like, when you get in the calming corner,
Yes.
are you in there from moment one? Because like,
Yes.
I'm at risk of getting injured.
Okay.
From moment one.
Okay, I'm gonna let y'all in. Kinsey feels her feelings. She mad, okay? I used to pick her up, flailing, kicking, screaming, crying, scratching, and I would sometimes, in an angry moment, throw woo, into the calming corner. It's soft, there's pillows, and I would throw, and then the way that ours is like, there's a couch here and a couch here, so this is our calming corner, and I would put myself in the entrance. And so in the beginning, like now my kids are at a point where I look at them and I'm like, do you want me to take you to the calming corner or do you want to walk into the calming corner? And they're like, walk to the calming corner. You know what I mean? Like, because we've been doing it for so long, but that doesn't mean that there aren't still moments that I'm picking up a kid and putting them in the calming corner and blocking it and saying, if you want to scream into the pillow, scream into the pillow. If you want to punch the pillow, punch the pillow. And I'll set a timer. I don't have the timer, which I feel like my kids probably hate it, like, but we have this, which is sometimes kind of cool to watch and mesmerizing, but I will set this if I can't find the timer, or my phone, and I'll set it for a minute, or however long this is, and I'll say, we don't have to talk until the timer goes off. And that way they can do whatever they want. And sometimes like they just want to hug, and sometimes we have to set this bad boy like 255 times, you know what I mean? But after the timer goes off, I look at the child and I say, are you ready to talk about it, or do you need more time? Usually that first time is, I need more time, and I'm probably like, I need more time. So then I set it again, and then we do whatever we need to do, and if they're still struggling, I'll usually, for some reason poppets are my thing, I'll usually take it and just not even making eye contact, just start popping the popper or squeezing the squeezy ball quietly, because the point is for it to be fairly quiet in the beginning outside of whatever they are doing to handle that emotion. And then they kind of see me doing something, and then they'll kind of look through the box and grab something and kind of like scoot a little closer to me and do it, and then scoot a little closer to me, and then pretty soon I'm ready to talk. So, example, and then y'all ask away. Let's say, because this definitely hasn't happened in my home, Kinsey just hit Beckett. Doesn't ever happen, but let's say hypothetically this happened. So I look at Kinsey and I give her a choice. Do you want to walk into the calming corner, or do you want me to carry you into the calming corner? Let's say, because we're gonna make it difficult, she's like, no, and doesn't even use her words or screams or says something terrible. Again, so hypothetical, would never actually happen. So I'm gonna pick her up and I'm gonna gently toss her into the calming corner. Please don't call CPS. I'm gonna sit in the calming corner and I'm gonna grab a poppet or whatever, and I'm gonna quietly do it. I'm gonna set a timer and I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let her say what she needs to say, scream, whatever. She tries to get out, it's gonna be a battle, but we're gonna say, no, we're gonna stay in the calming corner while we're having our feelings. My husband's calling, it's like he knows. We're gonna stay in the calming corner, we're gonna have our feelings, and we're gonna talk about it. Even if this takes forever, because we're building the foundation that your feelings are okay. We're building the foundation that says like, I'm with you. We're building the foundation of like, our feelings aren't a bad thing, even though sometimes the world makes us feel that way and we feel like we have to hide it. Well, we're gonna create babies that don't have to hide those feelings, that it's okay to feel it. So let's say she tries to get up. I'm gonna say, Kinsey, do you want to sit down yourself or do you need help sitting down? I'm always giving her an option, even though those two options are the things I'm choosing, and they're both going to be the result that I want, but I'm giving her a say so she feels like she has some kind of power over the situation. And then I set the timer. Let's say she's screaming, kicking, punching, whatever. The timer goes off and I say, hey, the timer's off. Are you ready to talk about it? Or do you need more time? Let's say she says, I need more time. Or she's still in the point of like screaming, because impulse control is not a thing when we're feeling these big, deep feelings. So I'm gonna set the timer again, and I'm gonna keep doing that until she says I'm ready. Then I'm gonna take all the stuff, I'm gonna put it in the basket, and I'm gonna openly talk to her. What happened? If she starts to get super upset again, I can say, do you need whatever, fill in the blank, or are we still okay to talk? That way she can fidget if she needs to while she's talking about the hard things, or that way whatever needs to happen, we're gonna openly discuss what happened, and we're gonna come to a conclusion that it wasn't okay to hit our sister. Next time we need to tell an adult first. She's gonna say, okay, I'm gonna say I love you, I'm gonna find something positive, I'm so proud of you for getting to the calming corner by yourself, or I'm so proud of you for screaming into the pillow, that was a really good choice, and then we're gonna walk away. Any questions? I know that was a lot. Yeah.
On a bad day,
Uh-huh.
how many times are you using your calming corner? Like,
That's a great question. So, tired, hungry are two major triggers, even at 21, because that's how old I am. If we're tired, thank you. If we're tired or we're hungry, we're going to be in the calming corner a heck of a lot more. And sometimes, if I can tease that it's one of those things, especially the hungry thing, we're going to get through the calming corner. Would you like a snack? Yeah. Okay, let's eat. So I would say on a really bad day, I have probably used the calming corner 10 plus times in a day. Sometimes, because think about it, like, you don't, when we put our kid in timeout, we get to walk away, we get to breathe, we get to do whatever. This is hard because you are sitting in that circle or bubble of like, yuck. So it is draining. And if you have somebody at home with you, there's nothing wrong with like, this is your turn. Like, I need a moment. Or after your kid has had that moment, you put yourself in the calming corner and be like, mommy needs a minute, and let your kid do the timer or whatever to show that like, you also have big feelings. But there's nothing wrong with the number of times. And I would say when we first implemented this, we had to use it a lot. And it felt draining, and it felt like I was like, is this even working? Yeah. Like, and there were slip ups where like I would yell, or where I would spank, or where I would put time out, and I'd be like, it's not what I was supposed to be doing. So then I would apologize, and we would go back to the calming corner. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of trial and error. Now, I think it was just 2 days ago, Kinsey came home from school. We call it kaplumes. She had a big old kaplume, and I was like, I looked at her and she goes, I know, calming corner, and I walked her teenage behind into that calming corner, and I was like, yes. But in the beginning, it wasn't that. In the beginning, it was me picking up, it was me getting hit, it was me crying, it was me screaming into a pillow with her.
I just didn't know if maybe you felt like when you first started, you're like, is this even working?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
But I felt that way about every discipline method that I was doing, you know? Like, if I put her in timeout and then she's screaming like, you hate me, I'm like, oh my God, am I ruining her? Like, I don't know. This, I feel like my kids are able, now granted, they're 7 and 4, and I know a lot of you have like littles. So, but at 7 and 4, like, they're labeling their feelings in big moments of those feelings. Or they're identifying and labeling someone else feeling those feelings. Or it hurts, but they'll label the feelings in me, and I'm like, ha! Yes, I'm mad. Dude, I'm going to the calming corner.
Do you have like drawing things in there? Because my son is like, if he's mad at me, he'll draw me with like a big X over me.
Love that.
And he's
so
like,
we have this.
like,
We have this, and I don't have the pen, but like, they'll like add hair to it. But the beautiful thing is, fidgets seem to work best for my 4-year-old. Books work best for my 7-year-old. But I have a friend who like, I kind of stole this and tweaked it. And she literally has like pen, paper, crayons, like all the things. And it's whatever method works for your kid, have it there. And it might be even a trial and error. Like we had, it was something similar. It was really hard and it got chunked one day and I was like, okay, that's gone. We're not doing that again. Fidgets, these little spinners, we have the lightweight ones. You know, it hurts. So, does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah,
2 questions.
go for it.
I'm gonna ask them both so that you can just.
I'll probably forget, but yeah.
First question, what do you do with your other kids? Because my kid that could benefit from a calming corner is gonna spend a lot of time
Yes,
in a calming corner.
yes.
Second question, same kid. How do you keep them out of the calming corner things when it's not calming corner?
So so the way that it's like a window ledge. So this sits on the window ledge and I don't mind the kids going in there. Like at one point, like everything was dumped out because my children don't know how to clean after themselves. Help. Also my man-child doesn't know how to clean after himself. But I don't care if they're in there playing with the fidgets and stuff like that, but they have to stay in that area, preferably in said box, but you know.
But you could like have it put away, and then whenever you're like, okay, calming corner, you could bring the box.
I
to the
could,
corner.
but if you have a flailing, screaming mess of a kid, you can't be like, oh, you stay, you know what I mean? So like for us, it's there, and it's not like I don't want it to be puppets are bad because I only do puppets when I'm angry.
Yeah.
You know, it's more like if you want to fidget, you fidget. Kinsey read this Kaploon book just the other day and she was totally fine and just wanted to read and just picked up the book. So I don't necessarily think
dragging it all over the house.
Yeah, so just like any routine that you build, you just have to build it and be consistent. This stays in the calming corner. You can play in the calming corner, but this stays in the calming corner. And then threaten. No, just kidding.
Have your spanking spoon behind you.
What do you do with your other kid? Because my other kid would be right up in our business.
Yes.
In the-
So often, Beckett will trigger Kinsey and Kinsey will trigger Beckett. So I'll either look, like let's say Kinsey's in the calming corner, I'll look at Beckett and say, now's not the time, you can sit on the couch. And we have like a bookshelf and stuff nearby, not in the calming corner, but nearby. And I'm like, I need you to go grab a book. And she'll grab a book and like settle herself like near, but not in the calming corner. But that took a lot of time to get to that point. And sometimes like they're both struggling. And so it's just this constant like trade-off of like Beckett triggering Kinsey. Kinsey's in the calming corner. Beckett is still triggering her. I want to die on the inside. And then, you know what I mean? Like it's a process, but in theory, you have the one in the calming corner and not all time and attention is on them, but like you can have the other one near, but you can state something along the lines of like, brother's having big feelings. He's in the calming corner. I need you to do X. Sit, read, color. Can you go grab me this? Can you give him a task that he can independently do in hopes that he'll independently do it? Does that help? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's your method when you're not at the house?
That's a great question.
What
My
was the
mom
question?
ruins them. What do you do when you're not? So I work 2 times a week. I'm a speech therapist for kids. When my mom's home with Beckett, there is none of this going on. We tried, you know, she's cheap, so I'm like, I'll love you anyways. When we're not, like we're in Target or something like that happens, the car becomes the calming corner because I can keep you inside of this. So we're in the middle of Target. I have a basket full of groceries. I'm literally pouring sweat. Okay, we're not at home, but if we need to go to the calming corner, the car can be the calming corner today. Do you need to go to the calming corner? Either A, they're gonna be like, nope, I got it, I'll figure it out, or B, you're gonna carry your kid or kids or whatever out to the car. We always, because my car is filthy, have some kind of fidget, books, whatever in the car. But oftentimes I've found that like my kiddos just wanna feel connected, even in the midst of big feelings. And so like hugs. So like I'll be in the driver's seat, I'll pull my seat all the way back and I'll be like, do you wanna sit in my lap? 9 times out of 10, they say yes, because they just wanna feel loved. And if you think about it, like how many times have you been mad and maybe you've spewed verbal venom at someone and then been like, ooh, that probably wasn't the nicest thing today. And we're adults, so like impulse control is not there at 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. and however old my husband is, it's still not there. And so if you think about it, like we often forget how old our kids are, and so at least I forget how old my kids are, and so sometimes the expectation that we have isn't appropriate, and it's an us problem. Like my kid's not gonna be quiet in Target. Sorry, Granny, who's staring at me like, do you have children? Do you remember what this was like? So the car can easily be a on the go calming corner, if you will. Yes, and then I promise I'm done.
What age do you think is like best starting?
Immediately. You might not have sometimes like a plume for, you know, an 18-month-old, but there's nothing wrong with like teaching self-soothing type methods inside of the calming corner with your child, with a mirror that has emotions, so that way you can label, you feel mad, it's okay to feel mad. Okay, I'm done. Da-da-dum-dum-dum, give me music. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Emma.
Of course.
That's been like 2 years coming.
I know, I was sick last
She
year.
was sick last year. So valuable information. I'm like having an inside panic attack about thinking about implementing that at my house.
Call me, I got you.
I know. Well, I
The
think.
common corner as you work through it.
I mean, yeah. The issue is that like I need to start with myself. Like,
Exactly.
I
I'm
need
like,
to.
I feel like I need it.
Yeah. Us emotionally immature adults. Yes. We got some learning to do. Okay. Next up, we are gonna have Heather talk to us about. Sorry, I keep catching everybody. Were you ready? Were you getting ready? It's Heather. I see you back there. You're bringing your laptop? Okay.
Ready? No, but I'm holding.
You're gonna do great. Yeah, it's cool. Do you have that on? I don't see it on the Facebook page.
No, I'm recording it, post later, because I couldn't figure out how to do it.
I don't think it'll. We'll have to do it on YouTube. Because it'll be so. It's fine though. I'm sorry.
Because I don't think you can.
It's my miles again.
It's okay. Don't worry.
My friend was like, oh, I was like, that is not. So first.
Alright, you are live.
Let me grab one more thing.
No, I'm sorry.
I said, Miles, come here. He said, the present is over. He goes, well, it's my mom again.
You're like, do you hear that from your father?
Where did you learn that?
Okay, everybody. So I get asked a lot about. I have 4 boys that are very, 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 very active. So I get asked a lot. How do you keep it all straight? How do you organize it all? How do you keep your husband's schedule and your schedule together? All these things. So I have 2 methods that I have found work really, really well for me. One of them is a digital version, and I'm trying really hard to convert to a digital version because, yeah, we're always busy, right? And your phone's accessible. So this is called Artful Agenda. It costs me $4 a month. It can be used on a laptop, on a tablet, on a phone, any of those things. So it's really, really versatile. You can also link it to, say your husband uses like Google Calendars. You can link his to this. So in that way, so you see like the red, that's my husband, and those are when he's out on his trip. And I color code everything. Just like in Google Calendar, you can color code everything.
This is awesome.
Good. I'm glad you like it. That's the goal. And then this also has an upgraded version to where I think it's 40 or 50 a year, like you pay a yearly annual thing, and you can get habit trackers and other things. Let me actually show you what that looks like. So Article Plus, if it'll pull up, let's see. Maybe not. Anyways, but you can go into like the weekly version if you prefer seeing it this way. You can go into the daily version, And it does have some habit tracking. You can put your priority tasks like, I have to call the doctor today. And you can check it off. It'll check it off for you once you complete the task if you're one of those moms that has to see that it's done. Meal plans, things like that. You can put fun little stickers into like these boxes here. And then you can create lists. So I have like a master food list, so that way I can say I need ground beef today or things to that nature. All the things that we buy where I'm like, did I forget something? These kinds of things. I'll try and move that out of the way. But you can create all kinds of lists. If you're a list person and it's right there on your phone, it's ready for you.
Is this an app on your phone?
This is an app that you can get on your phone, and you can also download it through Microsoft Play if you have a laptop. It's very, very versatile, and it works for iPhones as well as Androids. I mostly have Android products, but I like being able to do it by the hour on the day. So that way I can go through and say you can block yourself out. So from 8 to 12, I'm busy today. You know, obviously I have other things in there, but 8 to 12, I know I'm busy. And these are the things that I need to do. So that's the digital version that I like to use. Let me see if it'll pull it up again.
And if you like edit on your laptop, it does
It'll
to your
transfer
phone
to your
too.
phone. Yep, it does auto sync for sure. What is that?
How many people can you share it with?
You can share it with whoever you can share through Google Calendar, you can share it with. It's just like the little links that you use through Google Calendar, same idea.
That's nice.
So if you are old school and you're like, I need something tangible to write in, I have to write in it. These are also really good. So this translates really well into these books here. And these books you can find on Amazon. They're called Go Girls. About $20 a month, or a month, $20 period. And I color code everybody. Everybody has a color in my house. They don't know they have a color, but they have a color. My kids don't realize that my oldest is blue, my middle is orange, my second from youngest is green, and then the next color, you know. So these are really nice. It gives you like goals. I can pass this around if you really, really want to see it. You can set your goals. Clearly, I'm not a goal setter. But I got highlighter markers, I think at Walmart, that have different colors. And this is how I do my months, like this. And then each week, it also has the hourly schedule like this. Because I learned a long time ago, us as moms, we will overbook ourselves to death. And not realize it. So you're like, yeah, I'm gonna do the laundry, I'm gonna do the kitchen, I'm gonna cook, I'm gonna get him to practice. No, you're not. You're not gonna do all that. Sorry. Laundry, I hate to tell you, laundry's gonna take you at least 2 hours sometimes, right? Depending on how many loads that you let pile up. And soccer's gonna take a lot longer because he doesn't wanna get in the car. So you have to force him into the car, right? Dinner isn't all the way thawed, so you have to rapidly thaw it somehow. So this helps keep you kind of tracked. Like, okay, I know I'm gonna mark myself out for laundry for 3 hours, and that's what I would do. I know that scouts for me, even though we have to be here at 7, I'm gonna block myself out from 6 to whenever. So I have that time, I give myself that time of grace. And then that way you can also mark it in here. And Taylor isn't here today, but she says that I can be a little extra. And I put laminating pages in the very, very back so I can just jot down quick notes. And when I don't want those notes, I can get rid of them.
That's not extra, that's smart.
So then, I know, she just calls me extra. She wants it done, that's why. So you can do it this way too, so that way you're like, but they only have 50 50 extra pages in the back, and I don't want to use them all. You know, huh?
Did you just do them in?
No, so it's a one-sided laminating sheet.
Oh, you did the pages that were already there.
Yes.
Just
Yeah, these were already here, and I covered them in laminating sheets, so in that way you can just jot it down real quick, and then you're like, I'm done with this. I don't need it, and you can keep reusing the book over and over. So, and then at the very, very back, oh here, I'll show you. So these are the laminating sheets that I use. It's by the Duck thing, and it comes with little stickers in there too. So, cool. But that's it.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
You mentioned Google Calendar. Did you have Android? Did you know you can create a family group with
Yes.
your husband and his calendar pops up on yours and
Yeah.
yours goes to theirs?
Yes, that's very true too. Yes. I don't know. It's working, and I don't like to jar the technical system, so I just leave it and work as it is. But yes.
Heather, last year you had given a tip and I used it and it's been really beneficial, is that how you block out your time and you add your travel time. So if something starts, like MOP starts at 9:30, but I label it in my calendar, starts at 9:30, but I block the time out from 9 to 12.
Yes.
And so that
Yes.
like travel time has like changed like my
It's a game
schedule.
changer, so that way you're like, I have to be there at 9 and it's 8:45. Oh no, I should have been in the car 15 minutes ago. Yes.
So like I now put leave at this time.
Yes.
And that's the time I put. So I'm not even looking at when it starts, I'm looking at when do I have to leave.
Exactly.
And that's a game changer for me. 'Cause
It
I'm
helps
late
your
to
brain
everything.
Because
to kind
then
of.
you don't have to sit and think, okay, well now I have to, like, it's another.
It's an
like,
hour
task
away.
that
How
you
far
have.
is it from here?
Yeah.
And the calendar, you can also set reminders in here to pop up and say you have to be somewhere at this time. So it will set reminders for you. And that's it.
I'm gonna tag on to Heather's because we have all learned through the hundreds and hundreds of dollars we have spent on planners over the years, that it is a very much a trial and error process for finding out what works for you. So I too use the Go Girl Planner. It is undated, so for me that's fabulous. The last time I wrote out my week was March 4th. But that's okay, because when I'm ready, when I feel like I need to use it again, like the next week's blank, so it just is, I'm ready to use it. Because I'm not an every, like sometimes I'm like, this is too much, or I don't need it, because I do have a digital on my phone too. So I love that piece of it, because this will probably last me like 2 years, because I don't do it every week. But some weeks I'm really good, and then other times I'm like too chaotic, not ready, like I'm gonna use all the ink in my, you will have a pen bag for
Yes.
the colors. I will use all the ink. Yes.
I was just gonna add something. I use the digital calendar on my phone, but I love it for a digital thing. But something I started doing that has helped me a ton is I put like past stuff in there too. If my son's like sick and has to go to urgent care, or
Yes.
sometimes he's like started running a fever and it's like a Wednesday, and I'm like, well, we're gonna watch it for a day or two. And by the time I call the doctor, it's Friday, and we don't have an appointment until Monday. And they're like, how long has he been running a fever? I'm like, a few days. But I'll just put it in my calendar, like,
That's
he
very
ran
smart.
fever today, or like, he didn't poop today. Well, tomorrow, okay, no big deal, I don't need to worry about it. But then, if we go to the doctor in a few days, I can say, oh, this started on.
Yeah,
you can go
And
back.
It's digital, I have it like anytime. So that's for people.
Love that. So yeah, so for me personally, I have this as my paper. I have the whiteboard month calendar at my house that is all the colors match across all of my things. I'm OCD. So that is like our month at a view that everybody in the house can see. And then I also have an app, a family wall is my app, and I'm happy to show you. It does have like where you can access it on a desktop too. But it's very similar to what hers looked like, where the reason I love this app, it is free. There's a paid version, but I've gone by for years free. There was a time where my mom, after my surgery, she came to live with us for 2 months, and I was literally just able to give her a link, and she was on my calendar, and so she was able to like literally be dropped into the deep end of our crazy life. So that, and now she keeps tabs that way because she lives in Arizona. But anyway,
Like, what are you guys doing today?
literally, that's coming up. Funny. I will get that text. And so, yeah. So I think those are all great tips. I've done like daily like sheets, like where it's just literally write the day and rip it off and throw it in the trash. And then there was one other I wanted to say. Oh, the Notes app. I love the calendar. I use my Notes app. I have Nash asthma, his entire history of asthma, and it's not pretty. It's literally like I've now gone back and folded and underlined. I'd be like the dates start and end and what the diagnosis was, and then it's like the play-by-play of what happened and transpired in that episode. But it's literally just like one paragraph after the other, a huge running list of, and I have one for like Abelin's migraines and my migraines and things. So I have grocery list. Yeah. Oh, I do use the monthly in here for I started doing monthly meal plan. So anyway, there's lots of methods. Don't give up on yourself. If it doesn't work, it's okay. Give it a kiss, pass it on, move on to something else. Give it a kiss. You're not alone in the endless search for the right system for you. So, okay, next up we have Melissa. She's going to share on sensory bins. So get your pens out.
Hello, my name's Melissa, for those of you that don't know, although I think I know most of you. I have 2 kids, 6 and 3, they're both girls. I also work part-time and I homeschool, so always busy, but it's fun. So I'm the oldest of 9 children. My mom homeschooled all of us, so I got a lot of these tips from her and I got to see them play out in real life, which was super, super helpful. I feel like I kind of sometimes have a little bit of a cheat start on some of that because I saw it in real life. So what we do a lot of sensory bins, we do a lot of Play-Doh things, but what I learned from my mom is to have different stations. When Clara was 2, we had just moved to Boston. We had been there 6 weeks and COVID happened. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment that we paid $2,800 for a month. It was insane, which is why we're not still there. But what I learned, we didn't have a playroom, we didn't have, areas. And I'm like, if you had to pick a character to describe me, I'd be Monica from Friends. That pretty much fits me to a T, not quite that extreme. But, so I don't do mess. I like category, which with kids isn't always how it works. But we try. So I found we did a lot of stations. So I wrote a list of some of the stations to help, and then I'll get into the sensories. But I will say, this is something that is taught. This is not something that is natural or comes natural. This is something that you have to put into play and stay consistent until your kids get it. And even then there's days that it doesn't always work out. So just know that up front. Also, like the sensory bins and Play-Doh kits, these are for very special occasions. This is not an everyday thing that we pull out. This is like once a week, mommy's on a phone call, I need you to stay busy. Type thing. So keep that in mind too. Sorry, I just have to go through my list. So I have had, okay, we won't go there yet. So COVID, different coloring sheets. I would say these start as early as 18 months, but my 6-year-old is still very active into all of these, but we don't do them all the time anymore. So colored, and the reason I started these is because in Boston you get 6 months of winter, and having been there for 6 weeks, you get bored and you get tired of Legos. So I would fill out my muffin tray with water and do food color in every different one. And we would take a paintbrush and a paper towel, and they would make a glass colored paper towel and let it dry, and it was really pretty. Sticker sheets, we would do that. We would do decorative boxes. I would take an empty box, they would have stickers, markers, I would strip them down to their underwear because they also got covered in markers. And they would decorate the box. That then turned into bath time, so it was like an hour and a half of activities. Caterpillars, if you will take an egg carton, you can cut them out and they make really cool caterpillars. You can do the little pipe cleaners, eyeballs, that's a really good, and then you can turn it into a butterfly lesson, which then turns into a whole nother thing. Washing car or princess station, that is really, really popular. I set out a towel, a bowl of water with this much water because it's going to end up all over your floor, and soapy water, and then they can have a sponge or a wash rag or whatever they want. They can wash their car, they can wash their kitchen food, whatever they want to wash. The other favorite is sticking toys in Jell-O or ice, and you do have to prep for that, but and then they can dig it out. The Jell-O is really fun if they want to eat. The ice is really good in the summer. I give them a hammer, like a toy hammer. a paintbrush with water, yeah, all kinds of things, and they have to smash their toys out. So those are some of our favorite stations I thought of off the top. I have a lot more, but with the sensory bin stuff, I've had questions about my boys or kids won't sit still, it goes everywhere. I asked my mom because I don't have boys, but my brothers all did this. And so my mom just said to remember that this is your teaching opportunity. The first couple times you do it, you do have it maybe everywhere, but like if they're getting up and moving off the towel, that's it, we're done. Like it stays in that section. I will say there are times where there is rice and beans, but it's within like a section. Like if it starts moving out of a 2-foot area, we're done. We're gonna be done with that for a while. So it's kind of a learning, and it's also going to be a teaching opportunity. You know, like the first couple times you might not be on the phone. You might be doing something where you can watch and then interrupt as needed. Yes, so on to that. What do my sensory bins look like? Clearly I don't have enough stuff for them. So this is the current one. We in our homeschooling have been doing bugs. I got these really cool life-looking bugs on Amazon, and my kids were like, those aren't pretty enough. So we went to Hobby Lobby and got bugs instead. So I have no idea where I got these. I love them. My kids love them. I don't know where I got them though. But you get a container. There are so many different things. I colored rice for the first time ever. It's super, super easy. I wrote down the recipe. But basically I'll go to Goodwill or the dollar section. A lot of times I go to like the theme. These were spring mushrooms. I got a couple packages of these. These are actually stickers, but you know, you just kind of throw them in here. They don't know they're stickers and they love them. They have shovels, they have tablespoons. Oops, sorry, I'm throwing things. We have flowers, there's beads. So this is just what the insect one is. So every time I make a sensory bin, sorry, I'm just sitting there, I make a coordinating Play-Doh box. Jerry gave me this idea. I totally stole it and ran with it. These you get at the dollar store in the tool section. And I put Play-Doh in a Ziploc. And I just put, they have a spoon, they have these jewels, little bunnies. Yeah, these are fantastic. We can take them on the road. A lot of times I work in the mornings if I'm at my mom's and I don't want to watch them. This is a good 20 to 30 minutes of entertainment while I'm trying to work at someone else's house or at my house. And then I usually switch. So when my kids were younger, we did not have to switch themes all the time. I have no idea where I'm at time. But now that Claire is older, they do it, you know, depending on how often they play with it. Sometimes we switch every month, sometimes after 2 weeks they're done. So this is like a fall one. I got leaves, there's acorns, pumpkins in there, pine cones, and I'll leave this over here if anybody wants to come dig through it, you can. This was Easter. We did black beans. I like black beans for a lot of stuff because if you do bright colors, it's a really fun contrast. This was St. Patrick's Day.
Do all these go in a bin when you take them out of there?
So I switch them, they all go in there. And then I put everything in a Ziploc.
So you only have like one
I
or
only
two
have
of
one.
those?
That's it. And then everything gets poured into a Ziploc.
Rice and everything?
Rice.
will go in there?
So sometimes I will sometimes I'll dig the stuff out and save the rice and like reuse it. I think I noticed I don't have a lot of spring and summertime, so I'm getting ready. Dollar Tree has all these really cute fairy stuff. So I'm getting ready to do a fairy, fairy gnome. We're gonna do dinosaurs this summer, so I'm gonna do a dinosaur one. I will say for boys, sensory bins are gonna look a little different. You may get the gravel and do construction trucks. It may be something like putting together a train track. You know, it's not necessarily going to be the same girly stuff that like what I've chosen.
So does it stay inside of the bin, or
Yes.
No, is that the goal?
That's the goal. I put out a towel, and then the girls a lot of times will go to their kitchen and get bowls and stuff, but it has to stay on the towel.
Okay.
So I will say there's usually 5 minutes of pickup because my 3-year-old does get rice on the towel, but then I just pour it back in. If you have really messy boys, my mom got a shower curtain out, and on days
Okay.
she got off the rice, it was the shower curtain.
Because my son wants to dump everything out all the time, and
Right.
I'm like, that sounds great for playing, but I'm like, what happens when it's
So it
everywhere?
stays on the shower curtain. If it starts traveling off, that's when you're done.
Okay, and then
So-
you just
And then you pick it up and tow it in. And it's a teaching. Like, you know, we've been doing this since my kids were 2. So, like, it didn't start out on the towel. You have to teach them. And
okay. And do you do it on like the floor? Because you say
Yes,
towel.
always the
I'm
floor.
like the table is
always
just like
on the floor. Always.
okay.
Can I say something
Oh.
to the mess? Oh, sorry.
No. I was gonna say, from a mom of 2 boys, I started doing this when they were young. Like, I think Nico was 1 and Vincent was 2. I always did it on the floor, and I would say for boys, a bigger bin worked better for me.
Yeah.
So I have like this Sterilite or whatever, probably like, I don't know what, this size or whatever.
It's got
It
some
gives
depth.
them more space. Especially, it's bigger than that. It's taller than that too. Because they're gonna want, I don't know girls, so they're gonna want to make a bigger mess. But the first few times I did rice, and they definitely made a bigger mess. But same thing, like it is definitely a training thing, and it took a while, and the rice would get everywhere. But I either put a sheet down or a towel down, and the first few times, yeah, I definitely made a mess. But the more like I would stop it or like redirect, and we would clean up and like put it away and do it again and do it again. But like now, like I have a kinetic sand bin in my playroom all the time, and my kids know that sand stays there. And yeah, there's some that gets on the floor, but like I don't have to tell them anymore. And the rice bin, they ask to get it out. Rice always makes more of a mess. So like,
That's
if
why I
you
like beans
do
more
it and like
sometimes.
redirect them, and like I don't have to sit and like constantly watch them anymore.
I like the shower
I need
curtain.
to do more of this though with like the different things to make it more fun. I don't do enough of that.
I will say too, my son puts everything in his mouth, like still at 5. So when I did this, I did edible. I would do an edible base. Like I wouldn't do rice or black beans with him. I did like Cheerios,
No, you're
or
right.
like I crushed up graham crackers for like dirt, because he eats everything. So I would do that instead of the rice and beans.
Yeah, Pinterest has so many ideas. So I want to tell you, because my 5 minutes are up. They do have buy it ready made. This brand, I get these for when we travel sometimes, and we'll do them as special surprises if I don't have time to switch them up. It's called Young, Wild, and Friedman. Friedman. She does Play-Doh, sand. I've got 2 of them. They're really fun, and she does actual sensory kits too if you wanted, but they're a little expensive. So, and how to color your own rice? All you do is 1 tablespoon per cup of rice. Add your food color to the way you want it, and let it dry for an hour. It's vinegar. Sorry, 1 tablespoon of vinegar per cup. So and then add the food color you want, mix it up till it's the color, and set it out to dry. So it
dries
really
fast.
It dries really, really fast.
It's first it kind of sticks together. If it sticks together, you can just kind of hit it and it just all falls apart. It's really cool.
Yes. So, anyway, so that's some of what we've done. I hope that's helpful for.
Thank you. So I hope everyone had the same like takeaway there of like this comes with boundaries. There has to be like rules established, because I can speak from personal experience that I thought I would be a fun Pinterest mom and make a sensory bin of rice, and I just put it out and went and enjoyed a hot cup of coffee in the other room, and I am still finding rice 3 years later under my baseboards in the bottom of my pantry, because every surface that was not carpet and some of the carpet, like we had a span of like 20 feet of rice in every direction, and I wanted to cry, and we have not still to this day done a sensory bin since. So don't be like Jerry, be like Melissa. All right, next up, thank you, Melissa. Next up, I have Eleanor is going to share with us. Yeah. And do you need us to send you handouts for you? Do they play with Play-Doh?
about me is I used to teach before I became a mom. I taught pre-K for 2.5, almost 3 years, and I taught first grade for 1 year. Child developmental milestones kind of became like a passion project for me, because when I went to the doctor, I would see the chart on her thing and I'm like, is she hitting the goals? Is she hitting the goals? Oh, she's hitting the goals. This is so great. She was like, oh, your kid's so smart. And la, 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 la. Well, I had a friend whose kid wasn't hitting those milestones, and it was kind of disheartening for her, and it kind of made me think, what are the developmental milestones that are appropriate for kids, and what does it mean if they're not hitting all the goals? What does that mean for you? What does that mean for your kid? So this is a little bit about this. I was assisted by Emily with the speech stuff, because I knew she was an expert on speech. So reach out.
I'm an expert.
You're licensed and trained. Ish.
I like that. Licensely trained.
I have a license. This is more what you would call guidelines, because most people think they're hard, fast rules. They're not. They're guidelines. Always consult your pediatrician or licensed medical professional for all concerns. I am not an expert. This is, that was from last year.
Yeah, that's good.
I didn't realize. When I did this, I was really sick and Preston needed a project, and this was my project, and it really helped doing it. And some moms were concerned about where the kids were. Elementary.
I'm good now. Me that you're not that
This is my little love child, I guess you would say. So I did pass out a packet. It has all of the developmental milestones from 2 months old to 5 years old. And I got my information from the American Academy of Pediatrics, and they conducted the study in 2022. When you go on the CDC website, they have slightly different goals. If you go to another website that does with kids, they all have slightly different goals. So this is not like the Bible. Don't feel like this is everything in the world. I tried to make it a comprehensive list though. I tried to color code it so it was easier for you to pick out which items belong together. So the study basically was done with a group of kids, 100 kids, in a certain age group, and it was how at least 75% of those kids hit the goal in that age group. So that means 25 kids didn't hit the goal. That's not to say that those kids ended up having any developmental, cognitive, or any other disability of any kind. They were just a little behind. Some kids were later diagnosed with something. If you want to read the whole story, the whole study, you can go and find it. I'm not going to bore you with long details. Your kid will develop at different rates. My child would be really fast in some areas, like she was hitting like 3-year-old goals or 30-month goals, and she would only be 18 months. But there were also some goals of hers that she didn't hit until later. So I wrote down some examples. If you look in the cognitive milestone, one of them is stacking at least 2 objects like blocks. That didn't really happen until she hit 2. That just wasn't something that she was into, and she was supposed to basically almost master that little small goal by 15 months. Doctor wasn't concerned, so I wasn't concerned, but it just kind of goes to show you that they don't have to hit all the goals. For your language development, so the language development section is different because I talked to Emily first, because I sent her what the American Academy of Pediatrics had written out for speech development, and she had directed me to the ASHA, which I forgot what it stands for.
American Speech and Hearing Association.
That one, awesome. And that's why the chart looks a little bit different, because it breaks it down by hearing and understanding goals and talking goals, which I thought looked way better than what the American Academy of Pediatrics had. Felt like it was easier to understand. There have also been a lot of moms who have asked Emily about speech stuff, and I also included at the very back of the packet a sound speech acquisition chart, because I also had questions. When should my child have this sound? And that was a lot of questions that parents would ask me when I taught pre-K, And I was like, I don't know, go ask the speech therapist. I don't know where they're supposed to have that sound. So I like it because it kind of gives me a goal, an idea of like, oh, the reason she can't say this word is because she hasn't learned those sounds yet. That sound's not developmentally appropriate, I guess you would say. So remember, these are guidelines, not hard, fast rules. So if I freaked any of you out when you look at this and think, oh my God, my kid only has one of these goals and they're supposed to have 6 out of them, please don't freak out. Your kid just might be like, I don't really care about these items. Or with the stacking of blocks, because we didn't have blocks at 15 months, which is why she didn't master the stacking of items. You may not have the items that are required to master a certain skill. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, there's mud. Always consult your pediatrician or a licensed medical professional for all concerns. I am not said licensed professional. I only teach 6th grade and under, so I can't answer if your kid has ADHD or I can't help you with that. I could say, that might seem like it, but you should probably ask the medical expert because I don't. Oh, I suspect there's something wrong. What do I do? Have no fear. So your licensed medical professionals can help you. There is also something called ECI, which Amber Casey used to be a part of and work with, and they help with 0 to 3. So if you have little kids and you're like, something's wrong and it needs to be dealt with now before they go to school, you can call.
And they come to you.
And it's free.
Oh, it's really great.
Oh, there it is.
Sliding scale.
They're awesome. They can help with medical conditions, developmental delays, auditory visual impairment, speech delays, and they can test your child for free and see if they qualify for services.
And then they help you transition to services after.
Yes. Because I've had to sit in a pre-K meeting and we'd have someone from ECI saying this is what they were doing. They're going to be coming into your program next year. This is what they need to be working on, kind of thing. So there is that. Also, if you feel like there's something wrong and your doctor says they're fine, but your mama gut is telling you something is wrong, more than likely your mama gut is right.
Yeah, girl. Washing weight is not a real thing.
No, don't wash your weight. You could be like, it's better to be that mom, like, test my child because something's wrong and I don't know what's wrong, rather than being like, oh, I'm gonna wait, and then when they get into 6th grade, you realize your kid can't read past the 1st grade level, because that is very real all the time. You know something's wrong or you feel something's wrong, advocate, advocate, advocate. Or take someone who you know has that you better listen to me attitude to go with you to help you stand your ground.
I volunteer as tribute.
And then these are my citations of where I got my information. They are also on the back of your handy dandy packet. I hope you enjoyed this presentation.
Yes.
Now that you all know that I'm a speech therapist, don't wait till you know me for 2 years and be like, so I have a question, but I didn't want you to think I was using you. Ask. You're not gonna hurt my feelings.
Use her.
Use my husband.
Don't tell me.
You're in church.
I do not have citations. I have a big mouth and like to talk in front of y'all. But I am a mom of autism, ADHD, anxiety amongst my 3 littles. So I want to just tie on to that like 100%. Trust your mom gut. It will not steer you wrong. It will not steer you wrong. And I could tell you, like, I've been to doctors, I've been to specialists, I've been told, oh, no, probably fine, or oh, I would have never guessed, or you're blowing that out of proportion. And then there's been, on the flip side of that, there has not been one time I've shown up in the ER with my kid with something wrong, that they weren't right. The ER, the emergency professionals, and not to say that it's every time that they've been super supportive, but more times than not, yes, you're right, you followed, we're so glad you're here, we're so glad you came in, this was the right call. So let that voice, let that shine through, because you're there. There's a reason God ingrained us to be in tune with our babies, and regardless, like, so ECI, like I said, they're free. You can contact them yourself. You can go on today. It's Tarrant County MHMR, and you can call in request, and they will come to your house. They will do the evaluation for free, and then they'll plug you in with services. If you have to pay, it's a sliding scale based on income. It's very inexpensive. They can bill insurance, and like Amber said, they will help you transfer to school age when that time comes. But yes, please just trust your mom gut. Don't let that go. Even if it's like, talk to your doctors, talk to the people, but don't, if there's something that's itching at you, reach out. If you're like, questions, I'm a wide open book, so please, I'd happy to help. Yeah.
I just wanted to say on the opposite end of that, I think you also don't have to trust them if they say something's wrong right away, or like, we need to get your kid tested. I was pressured really hard by my son's medical team early on to like get him tested for all this stuff, and I strongly disagreed, and I'm so glad I did.
Yes. 100%.
They were not right.
And I think the best thing I ever heard was, they may be the expert on all the things that they are experts on, but you are the expert on your child. And do not let them try to dull that flame, because it is just as strong as that diploma on their wall or that licensure that they have. So,
Can I say something else really
yes.
quickly? Also, from experience, doctors don't know everything either.
No.
Like, they're also guessing right along with you. So like, if they're gonna guess, why don't you let your guess be the better guess than somebody who doesn't actually know your kid? My son didn't talk until he was like 3. I was terrified of taking him to ECI. Not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I was worried they were gonna misdiagnose him, because I had a couple of friends who were like, they're gonna say he has ADHD, or they're gonna say he's got autism or this or this, and I was like, but I don't feel like that's him.
Right.
And so I took him, and he got evaluated. It took a little bit for him to talk, but then they were like, no, he's just not talking.
Right.
And I was like, perfect. That's exactly what I was thinking. Because I did have that fear that he was going to be put into a box. And I was labeled. Labeled. And I'm like, but he's just, lo and behold, he just had fluid in his ears. He just said everything sounded like underwater. Yeah. Now, if you know him, doesn't stop talking. He is very smart. He's very sassy. Like, you got to be careful.
Which that's one of the first things that we do with ECI is like, how's their hearing?
Yeah.
Do they have a lot of ear infections?
Yes.
Like
I didn't use ECI.
Go that route.
I didn't use ECI. I did private instead of like public school, but I heard good things about it. Like, there's just different ways. Trust your mom gut. If you don't think one way, do a different way. If you don't think that way, like, just
yes. Yeah. At
do
the end
what
of
you
the
feel
day,
comfortable with.
yes, you know your child, and there are categories across the board for a reason. Like, yes, autism does exist, it has its place, but there are some kids who just have like super high sensory needs. There are some kids who are just developmentally delayed in this one area, and it's just them, and it's cool, and that there's not going to be an overarching diagnosis. So you know your kid.
Sorry, just to piggyback on a lot of this, but as a mom of all boys, understand that boys, they cannot sit still, and it's not always ADHD. You don't need to drug them to sit still. There are ways to help them do that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think our system is geared to, you have to sit still and do this paper for 8 hours a day, and little boys do not work that way.
Yeah. Do we just need to take a rotation, or does everyone want to get up here and say their piece? I love it. I love it. That's the whole point of today. Like, come get your moment of fame on the stage. I love that we're able to share this and have an open dialogue in the big room. So, last but certainly not least, and thank you, Eleanor. We love that presentation. Rachel has a presentation for us about priorities.
Yay!
Take me a second to get set up.
Okay, is this good, or do you want it?
Ladies? No, this is fine.
Over here. Okay.
I'm Rachel. I have 4 kiddos, ages 12 down to 2. So I've been through a lot of seasons in my motherhood journey, good, bad, some that we don't want to talk about anymore. And as I talk about this, I don't want any of you to feel
called out. My heart in sharing this is to help you to feel understood and to remind you that God's grace is sufficient. He is there to cover past failings and guide you forward and help you get to your best place in your journey. Okay? If you're comfortable sharing, I'm calling things out that I personally have experienced. So if you're comfortable sharing, by show of hands, have you ever dealt with anxiety or depression? Have you ever dealt with having a spouse that works long hours or travels a lot? Maybe you have neurodivergent children. Maybe you have unhealed childhood trauma. Maybe you have ADHD, and I'm a hot mess, okay, because I can check all these boxes, so don't be ashamed to share. Right? Maybe you are a perfectionist. You know, maybe you just kind of struggle a little bit with setting priorities from any of these issues contributing to that. They can all inhibit our ability to function at our personal best. And when we're in that kind of place, it is really hard to set priorities, to meet our goals, and to live the life that we think we should be living. And that's going to look different for everybody, but I know, well, I see a lot of babies. We've all had babies. Let's say that this is your life, okay? This is 24 hours in a day. We all have the same 24 hours. And if you've seen this, just, bear with me. Let's say that, your baby was up all night and you're having a hard time getting going. Start some coffee, and then you decide while the coffee's perking, well, maybe I'll just log on to whatever flavor of social media that you enjoy. And then, well, they're selling this new product on their Insta. Maybe I should go check that out. Those containers are super cute. Maybe I should go on Amazon and order them so that I can reorganize my pantry. Wait a minute. I'm gonna reorganize the pantry, but before I can do that, I'm gonna have to get even more baskets. I'm gonna have to take everything out of the pantry, and then, I'm out of cleaning supplies, so I'm gonna have to go to Target, and I'm gonna have to buy more Mrs. Myers. And then by the time I get back, I'm so tired. I don't feel like doing much of anything, so I'm just gonna sit down with the kids, and we're gonna binge watch the first season of Bluey again, all right? And then before you know it, most of your day is gone. You don't have a lot of time left for sleep or other important priorities, and you're lost. You feel depressed, you're kicking yourself. Why can't you manage your time better? But what if, instead of just kind of waffling through your days, you stop, you set aside your issues, and you just decide that you're going to focus on 3 to 5 main things. That might be, in the season I'm in, it's exercise with my kids and the dog. It's spending time with God. It is making sure that I also complete all of our homeschooling tasks in a day. And then checking in and spending a little quality time with my husband. And then my jar looks pretty full, right? I have focused on my main priorities, but I still have room for things that might be important, but not quite as important as these core priorities. So like, your codependent friend is on the ledge and she needs you to talk her in. There's some room for that, Maybe you do need to get some laundry done. Okay, so you get some laundry done. All right. Maybe, you're going everywhere. Thank you. Let's say your mother-in-law calls. She wants to plan an outing with the kids, but she wants to talk through every single detail with you first. And then maybe, you just want to read a book. Self-care should probably be one of the big ones, but if it's not, you can squeeze in a little bit of time for that. And then there's still going to be room for a little bit of scrolling on social media.
The sensory bins.
Okay, can I just say, I wish I had those sensory bins. My priorities were out of whack. I was taking a graduate class, working from home, on a leadership team in a homeschool co-op, and I had 3 kids under 5. while I was on a conference call, they got into my Bath and Body Works haul and put foaming soap all over my carpet and made soap angels while I'm talking to my boss. Sensory bins. Lesson learned, you need those. Okay. It smelled great, and thankfully I had a steam cleaner and I could just vacuum it up, but had to clean carpet after that. Take a little bit of time. You know, this is where Heather's segment comes into play. You can figure out what your top 4 priorities are for every day. Block those out. It shouldn't be more than 5. You could down to 3, up to 5. And it may be something as simple as, I'm gonna take a shower every day. I'm gonna unload my dishwasher every day. I'm gonna read to my kid every day. I'm gonna take a nap when the baby naps instead of housework. You know, whatever those core things are for you to help you function at your best, set a very small list of those, stick to those, and if everything else goes haywire, that's okay, because you have set your priorities and you're not gonna get to the end of your day and feel like a failure or frustrated with yourself. You're gonna feel accomplished, you're gonna feel grounded, and you're gonna have a lot more peace in your day.
I love that. So I can look at it when I'm scrolling, like, your day.
Now you all need to go home and make one.
I love that. I think that's the perfect way to capstone our MomCo University. So thank you, Rachel. And that is just like oh so true, right? Like as much as we want to make all